Welcome to NIL International, the podcast where we explore the world of name, image, and likeness and how it's transforming the lives of international student athletes. I am Edgars, and now and then we'll dive into the latest developments in the NIL space, share expert insights, and spotlight real stories from athletes around the globe, navigating the opportunities and challenges of NIL. Let's empower international college student athletes to maximize their NIL opportunities and achieve their full potential. Hello, everyone. This is Edgars from NIL International. Today we have a great guest, Katrine Jessen. We're both in Denmark. Denmark is a pretty small country compared to US or other countries, but we're the farthest point from each other. I'm in northern part, you are in the southern part, so it's still 4-hour drive between us. But Katrine, thank you very much for joining us. This is our first session, first podcast, so it's really special to us. So you studied and played basketball for University of Kansas, Missouri State University. Now you're back in BMS Herlev, the top Danish league, also national team player. So pretty impressive resume, right?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
18 points. 16 rebounds, 5 steals, 2 blocks in the last match you played here. We could say it's going good with the transition to the professional basketball from the college, I guess.
I had a pretty good first game. I think a lot of it was just me being super excited about being back home and like playing with my old club team and like playing in front of my family, playing in front of some of my good friends. So I was really hyped. And unfortunately we weren't able to get a win, but I'm happy that we were able to have some success opportunities and experiences. So yeah, it was a decent game.
It was a decent game, indeed. You graduated in May. Maybe tell us more about what degree and what major did you get?
Yeah, so I graduated this May 2024 from Missouri State University. That's where I played and studied my last year. I ended up graduating with a bachelor's degree in economics, and then I minored in business. And my thought process with that was just because I had like a really big interest in social studies and math. So I kind of wanted to find something in that area. And then I knew that economics and business was pretty universal. So I knew that I could use my degree when I got back home, which I was able to. So I'm very happy that I chose that route.
That's really great to hear. That's why you're there, right? To get a degree, get the education, all the knowledge, and you know, when you're back, you can use it from the day one.
Yeah.
You had one more year of eligibility, and why did you chose to finish your collegiate career?
Yeah, so I was in college for 4 years, but because I was there during COVID, I had an extra year of eligibility. And I wasn't sure for a long time whether I wanted to take it or not because I knew I was going to graduate in May. So if I took it, I had to like take a master's or like take some kind of diplomas. But then I think it was in maybe December or something of my last year, I almost felt like I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I've had my college experience now. I've enjoyed my 4 years with ups and downs. I've made some really good friendships, but I feel like I had tried what I needed to try in college. So I was like, if I took my 5th year, I would do it because I feel like I should take it instead of that's something I really wanted to. So that's why I ended up not taking it.
Very, very reasonable and thoughtful process. What about NIL opportunities? Would you have an access, you know, to NIL opportunities? Could that influence your decision?
That's a great question. I feel like it would have had something to say, but I don't think for me personally it would have changed my opportunity. But I think that's also because NIL came when I was in college. I want to say my second or third year maybe. So it was still kind of new to me. I never really got to explore all the opportunities and like see what I could really make from going through with some NIL deals. So I maybe my answer would be different if I had had NIL all years and if I knew more about the resources. But in my situation, I don't think NIL would have impacted my decision in such a degree that I would have taken my 5th year.
Makes sense. You represented, very big universities and very well-known universities as Kansas University and Missouri State University. So how much and what information you were provided with about NIL and being an international student athlete?
Yeah, so there's actually a pretty big difference between my two schools in the information that we received. And I think the main reason for that was when I was in Kansas for 3 years, it was me and I think we were almost 6 or 7 international students. So it made sense for my coach to focus on it and let us know the rules and like what we were able to do and so on. While I was at Missouri State, I was the only international student athlete. So I felt like they didn't really know a lot about it because I was also the first one they had had for years. So when I was there, I kind of had to, make my own research and I got a lot of help from you guys. But when I was in Kansas, we had these like NIL meetings, like the first time that it showed up. We got someone from compliance and someone from NIL coming in and like telling us about the opportunities. And then we had separate meetings with international student athletes and like domestic kids. But as I said earlier, NIL came while I was in college. So even then, it was kind of new for compliance and everything that was going on. So I think they did a good job on telling us, hey, unfortunately, you do not have the same rights as like our American kids. But maybe they didn't really know yet what did that mean and like what could we actually do. It was more like, as of right now, we don't want to break any rules, so you can't really do anything, if that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah, Katrina, and that's exactly what we heard from many other international student athletes while having conversations with them. That the safest way of university to give an answer is just to say it's not possible, so
Yeah.
you need to stay out of it. Even though there's 13% of Division I student athletes are international, so it's above 3,000 people are just left out. You did actually get an approval from Missouri State University to participate in apparel NIL deal. How did you get that approval? And maybe you can share with us, were they asking questions? Did you show the contract? Where did you go? So others who, maybe haven't tried it, could, hear more about it, how it happens.
Yeah. I think it's probably a bit different from school to school, but my apparel that I got approved was with you guys. And I think one of the main reasons that I was able to do that was because your contract was so like thorough and like you really made sure to explain what exactly am I gonna do and like what is the school signing. So I would recommend students who are trying to do a deal with someone that they make sure that like their contract or like the paper stating what they have to do is very specific so the school can say, all right, is this something that we allow? So what I did was I talked to my assistant coach first, and then she sent me through to someone in compliance that she knew had something to do with it. So you can either go to an assistant coach first and then they'll send you through, or you can go straight to compliance if you feel comfortable doing that. And then I pretty much just sent the contract and then kind of told them what it was about. And then they said, well, we approve it, so we'll sign it. And then if you have any more questions, you can come to us. So
how quick or how easy or complicated was it for you? Because you're busy as a student athlete, maneuvering time for your friends, for your education, for the sport.
yeah,
Did it take a lot of time of yours?
not at all. I also think my school did a really good job at prioritizing student athletes and prioritizing cases like this. So to be honest, I think I got it on the same day. But I think in general, if you send it to compliance and if they know what it's about, you should be able to do it in a couple of days. So I think the process was really easy and not time consuming at all.
Sounds great. For anyone who doesn't know, there was apparel deal, and it was possible because it is a passive income. So Katrina, of course, are not involved in any activations, any promotions. So that's what the apparel companies like NIL Store, Influxer, Athletes Thread are doing in the US for US and also international student athletes. I wanted to also share that your dad did a great promotion on Facebook for this apparel company. How did that happen, and what was that his own initiative, or you poke him to do it? How did that happen, Katrina? That was a great story.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great post. So when I started talking to you guys, you mentioned that I couldn't promote it because that would be against the rules and so on. So I think you came up with some examples on how to do it. And I think one of them was, well, maybe talk to a family member about it. And I will say my parents are awesome, so they really wanted to help out. And I kind of just talked to them about it, but then my dad was one that initiated saying it. I can make a post if you would like me to. And I was like, that would be awesome. And then he's also great at writing and stuff. So he really just made the post and posted it. But I think if you have parents who aren't as comfortable doing that, and if you feel like you have the time, I think if you made a post, you could ask, hey, would you mind posting it? I already, made the text, I already found the pictures and so on. Or if you feel like you have a friend that would be willing to do it. I think that was really successful for
Most
us just
definitely.
because my dad, even though his family and so on, he does have a different network. And I think a lot of his friends in particular thought it was so much fun that like, oh, there was this opportunity and they could have a shirt with like my last name and my dad's last name and so on. So it kind of became more of a thing that, oh, it's something we can do to help out Katrina and like support the family and so on. So that was really awesome.
Most definitely, and I can tell you that it initiated real activity on a website, and also it ended up with the sales of your apparel. So that was a great initiative. Also, your home country club, the club you used to play and now you play again, BMS Herlev. They were posting a promotion of this, for this apparel company. What were the steps to get it happen? Because whenever we reached out to them, there was little to no response. And I
Mm.
know that it must be your dad, or it was you girls who actually asked them to help out with that. How that process happened.
Yeah, so first of all, I will say that my old club team I played for my whole life. So I feel like it was easy for me to kind of use that connection. And the same thing with some of the other girls that played there. My club team like loved helping out and so on, and they really wanted to support this. But I think all of them are volunteers, so like they have a lot to do. So I think in this case, when if they're asked, which I think will apply to a lot of club teams, that if they're asked, oh, can you promote this, but it's not, I mean, as specific, they don't feel like they want to take out time of their day to like, as I said earlier, come up with the text and like come up with the posts. But if they're asked, hey, like copy in a text saying, hey, would you be able to just post this with these pictures, because then it only takes a minute, I think a lot of club teams would be willing to help out with that, because it's so easy for them. It's just to make a post like any other posts. And if you really just tell them, hey, this would mean a lot to me, or like this can also help out the club team, because then they will maybe get some more activity on their platforms and so on. So if you feel like you yourself have the time, I would try to reach out to like club teams and so on and say, hey, I've done all the work. Would you mind posting this? Because that would make me really thankful and stuff like that. So yeah.
I totally agree with you, and especially for them also to show that to the current players and for the youth players that wherever
Mhm.
you are, we're always with you. You're not a graduate, you're not an ex-player, you are
Yeah.
family member. So I think that Interlink, it is really great link, and
Mhm.
BMS Herlev is doing an amazing job, because there's been quite a lot of players representing many colleges
Mhm.
who used to play in Herlev. Did you hear anything about it when you're back now? Did they say anything about it?
I think a lot of them just said, "Oh, like we've been, watching you, and we saw that you have this big thing, and like I don't think some of them maybe didn't know exactly what it was, but they had just, kind of see it scrolling through social media. And I even think that stuff like that can make a big difference. So yeah, I definitely had some comments about it.
That's great. That's really great. And I think that's also the thing that, brand creation of an athlete involves many, players or many parties. And here the previous club, they can also play their role of promoting their former players, and maybe, if they're supporting them, then they come back to play again for them as you did. But uh, I wanted to ask you about the brand creation, and did you get any information about a brand creation? As you said, Kansas University was really great at information in general about NIL, but did they taught you also about how to develop your brand, how to create it, and how to sustain it afterwards?
That's a great question. I think as we talked about, they said like, oh, NIL, for example, is not something we know enough about right now, so just try not to get too involved. But then again, they also made a big deal out of, being our own brand. So we also, on top of that, had meetings about how should you act on social media, like what is beneficial to post and stuff like that. So Kansas University was really great at kind of giving advice about that, I will say. And the tools that they gave us is definitely something that is important while you're in college, because that also has an impact on their school. But again, they also mentioned how this is something that you can use afterwards. So I think that was definitely like the biggest advice they gave in like branding and making our own brands. Yeah.
That sounds great, and I think that even though you're not able to facilitate deals while or promote any companies while you are in the US, you can still develop your brand as an international. So you can post
Yeah.
the things about your day-to-day life, and whenever you are back home, you can actually sign some deals with the local companies. And that's what I wanted to ask to you: is there any how to say deals from Denmark, or would if there would be any deals coming towards you, would you be interested to sign any deals in Denmark? Because that's a second option, that you can sign NIL deals while you are in your home country, or in general
Mhm.
outside of the US.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I would have been very willing to sign with a Danish company. As we've talked about plenty of times, it was still so new, so I didn't really know if there were any Danish companies that would understand all the rules that was like in it, and if they really wanted to put energy into um a contract with me, for example. But that's something we talk a lot about, and my coach at Kansas, he said that that's something you should look into, because we also got to go home every summer, and as I understood it, we could have done deals then. But I think I was only home one summer when I was in Kansas, where I could have done it, and I just, to be honest, I didn't spend the time because I didn't really know who I should reach out to, and again what the rules were, because they were still kind of iffy trying to figure out what are the rules exactly, and am I really allowed to do this. But he also mentioned that we were supposed to, before I transferred that summer, Kansas, they went on a Europe trip. So if I would have stayed in Kansas, I could have done NIL deals while I was on that trip, and I think the school could have helped me out with that. So I would really encourage people now to look into companies from your home country, or if you're in Europe during your time in college, like during the summer or something, I would really try and look into it, because I think you can get some really, I mean, first of all, some good deals out of it, but also just like some networking that you can use later on. And I think it's a great way to kind of like stay in touch with your home country.
Most definitely, most definitely. And I think one of your close friends from Sweden also signed an NIL deal with a local underwear company while she was at home.
Yeah, I think that's right. I know I think she also got some kind of energy drink from Sweden that they sent some things to her. So I think that's like that's a really good opportunity. Of course, it's like a small thing, but I mean, she really loved it, and she really just had to reach out. So
That's really great. That's really great. I wanted to ask you what would be, how to say, the best international student athlete story you have heard. I just mentioned you had a teammate from Sweden and in Kansas who did deal while she was back home. Have you heard anything else what international student athletes have done, what you could share with us?
Yeah. When I first heard this question, I kind of had to think about it, to be honest, because I haven't heard a lot about any international students who got like deals that I remember at least. But I did hear about this Croatian girl at UConn. I'm pretty sure she was able to do like, I think almost like a clothing brand, like a clothing line when she was back home. So when I heard about that, I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like if I would have put energy into it, I would have loved to do something like that while I was back home.
I think it was Nika Mool, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
She's playing in Europe again and was drafted in WNBA draft. Yeah, I think the platform is there, and what is the most interesting for us to see is that your performance on a court matters. Which university and which platform you're using, it also matters, of course. But what matters the most is your effort, your energy, your brand creation, and your personality behind it. So there's many stories about not to say regular, but Americans, how Division III student athlete gets 200 deals, but we would really love to see more and more international student athlete deals and share those experiences. Uh, Talking about sharing the experiences, our idea is to make a Discord communication basically platform where international student athletes can talk to each other, ask questions, and also share those stories. What would the place like Discord and this kind of sharing experience and communication with other international student athletes would be beneficial in your opinion to the students?
Yeah, most definitely. Because I think some student athletes felt like they were kind of left to themselves, or like they kind of had to figure it out themselves. And that can be really hard because, first of all, maybe you don't really have the time for it, but also just the fact that you're maybe intimidated by the fact that you heard, oh, don't break any rules because that can hurt your eligibility and stuff like that. So I think it would be super beneficial to have some sort of platform where you can ask experts, but you can also maybe get some advice from other student athletes or just hear about examples from what other student athletes have done. I think that would have been extremely helpful to me. And I know people who are still in college who kind of wanted to do something like that right now, or like is looking for a platform like that. So I think that would be awesome.
That's great. Thank you for that encouragement, and that's also our plan right now to basically get more and more education out and keep it short, because if you start to listen to the podcasts or read all of the rules, you can pretty much bury yourself, under the information. But maybe could you tell us your best suggestion for international student athletes in work with NIL? You had this experience now looking back already from your collegiate career. What would be the best or top three or top five things for internationals to do regarding the NIL?
Yeah, so I think NIL is a great opportunity, and I really think people should take advantage of it because, of course, it's nice you can make some money from it, but also I think it's a great way to do some networking already. That's something I can already feel is very beneficial is the networking I did in college, that it helps me out right now while I'm working and like I'm back home playing and so on. So I really encourage people to look into it, and just continue to talk about compliance, like talk with compliance and make sure that you're following the rules. Talk with other student athletes, what have they done, and like do they have any examples of things you could do. So really just, take advantage of it. I bet people who are listening to this podcast know that some American girls are really taking advantage of it, and boys, and like are having great deals. So I think we should be aware that those opportunities are also out there for us. And if you look into it, I think it's possible.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Katrina. Uh, right now, we also find out that there's a petition already handed in about name, image, and likeness rights for international student athletes. And our goal is to encourage and promote that petition. So you know, we could raise awareness to the legislators in the US that, you know, it is not fair and it is not right to leave out all of the international student athletes from the opportunities to work with NIL. Do you think that signing petition and speaking out on social media about it would help to address that issue?
I 100% believe that. I haven't read this petition, but I think I would encourage people to read it and see if it's something that they can stand behind. Because I think it's a great initiative, and I think it's stuff like that that can help change the rules, because right now it is pretty limited what you can do as a student athlete, and as I understand it, it's not just something about the NCAA, it's actually something about like our visa and so on. And I don't think that the government is like really interested or like really knows that it's an issue. So if people can help raise awareness by, like, you know, signing a petition or posting on social media, I think that would be very beneficial, because I doubt that anyone wants to restrict student athletes. I think it's just because that's how the rules are right now. So I really think that if the people, you know, at the top of the government are made aware of the issues and that it's something that people are really passionate about changing, I think we could see a change, and I think that would be awesome.
Thank you. And I totally agree. Right now, you know, there's an election period. There's, you know, those cases, and NCAA against the House, and there's so many things going on with the collegiate athletics that it seems that it's just left out, not on purpose. And it's unfortunate that's how it is. But if we don't speak up and if we don't create this awareness, then you know, maybe they will just forget about it again
Yeah,
when the next
exactly.
time of them to decide
Yeah.
comes. Katrina, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. You're a great human being, great player, and great student athlete. So thanks again, and good luck in the match. I know you are playing match tonight. It is not a live session. It will be in recording. So fingers crossed to have a first win of the season. And
Yeah.
it was a pleasure to see you again.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for doing this. This is awesome, and I know a lot of people are very thankful that you're helping us out, and I just want everyone to know that they can always reach out to me, and I bet they can always reach out to you if they have any questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Katrina.